So, Selorm, you help me do me a favor, please. Bring my laptop, right? Please, thank you. So we start. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the little delay. I like to start on time, no African time. So, my name is Okhiogbe Omonblanks Omonhinmin. I'm a very curious person, born in Benin City, Nigeria. In life, I love conversations. I would not call them intellectual conversations, but I just like conversations that goes beyond the surface. So a simple conversation like, who am I, can go so deep that you even forget what the question was, right? You begin to look into like universe, you begin to look into spirituality, you begin to look into body, you begin to look into space. You can get lost in a simple question, if you're willing to go deep. And in that deepness, you find pain, you find love, you find comfort, you find levity. And I enjoy being in that space when you don't really know what is coming, right? And as a person coming from where I come from and stumbling on this idea of identity, first of all, people, the societal construct of things, has given me this thing called man, and within the construct of man, there are so many possibilities. Within the construct of woman, there are so many possibilities, but then those are the restrictions, and I am very intrigued by, so when you have those two restrictions, what more is there, and in this journey of life, I've come to realize that, there were more, there were other things that we can be, and there are more that we could possibly become. Even in identifying ourselves, we still have not even scratched the surface of what it is we are, or what it is we are becoming. And one of the lovely points, the junction of this conversation for me, when I'm with loved ones, when I'm with friends and people that I respect, the conversation of masculinity, comes in, femininity comes in, toxic masculinity. And then for me, I'm like, okay, what does this really mean to my 10-year-old self? And then what does it mean to my 15-year-old self? And what does this mean to this person that I am today and the person that I am becoming? The things I think about this topic, I don't really find comfortable spaces to have these conversations the way I see it. So I was like, okay, I'm somebody who actually documents conversations, and we'll just be documenting sweet conversations. Let me open myself up to this very untouchable, very restrictive. Sometimes it can be like attack, when people are having these conversations. And I'm like, no, there's so many complexities with men, and there's a pool of us. So let's open this conversation up. Let's learn, let's unlearn, let's see where we can be rigid and flexible. There's so much possibilities. And I thought about having this 3-day conversation to start a series of conversations. But for me, it was important, because I'll be in conversation with 3 men, it was important for me to start this conversation with a woman in conversation with me, or any other identifying gender, And with a few people, I, opened the door to have a conversation with me. I would say a friend, someone I respect, someone I consider family, agreed to have this very danceable conversation. And it's a conversation that I think we always have, the two of us, and sometimes we just get lost and we'll be having a conversation 11 a.m. and before you know it, it's 11 p.m. and before you know it, it's 1 a.m. So I would definitely want to welcome my friend, Molly. And Molly, before we start, you can introduce yourself the way you prefer. Yes, because I don't like to introduce people. Because sometimes when people introduce me, I cringe at the things they say.
I was actually hoping to hear how you were going to describe me.
I think my friend and family actually qualifies the way and the relationship I have with you. Every other thing is like extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll add a few more details to give a little context. My name is Molly Keogh. I'm an American. I've lived in Accra for close to 13 years, and I have a business here. Yeah, my family's here, my life is here. And I've known Oman for 7 years, something like that. Yeah. And we've definitely had this conversation, or variations on this conversation many times. So it felt like an easy step.
I asked a few people.
I know I wasn't the first choice.
No. Actually, there was no choice. I literally sent the same message to 5 people the same time.
Okay. And they all said no?
Literally. Because I think some people will think this is a difficult conversation for men. But if you know me personally, you know that I'm ready to swim in this. And sometimes where this conversation might go, it's not a place that's comfortable for everybody to have, especially in public.
Yeah.
And I think myself and we've done a variation of this type of dance enough.
Yeah.
So you could say yes.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a topic that I'm an expert on any more than anybody else who's in a human body. But I feel like that's probably good enough.
Yeah. So before we start, I don't know what you have prepared, but I would like to do something I like to do, which is a small ritual that I brought from home, just to welcome everybody.
So I have like a kind of a list of loose questions, topics, thoughts, but I'm not super attached to how it goes. Let's see, my notes are here. I guess the first thing that I feel like is important is to really, as you were saying, I mean, in some ways this is a little undefinable, but if we're gonna talk about a subject, we need to some extent define it. And obviously, masculinity is different from man. It's different from patriarchy. It's, these qualifiers have differences. So I guess I'm curious how, in the context of this conversation, how would you define masculine? To me, it's something that we all have a feminine side and a masculine side. So how do we kind of describe it or define it?
So the way I define it is a spirit. Spirit doesn't have a form, and I find it very problematic when people want to have physical qualifiers for masculine or feminine. And today, because of maybe patriarchy, maybe capitalism, because to sell you have to identify things and say, no, this is blue and this, and this is a boy, this is a girl, toys and this and videos and films and all of these things, and then the story of love, the damsel in distress, the saving prince, and all of this, right? All of this tactically have created what we think masculinity is, and masculine and feminine. For me, some of the most masculine things that I know were portrayed by women, right? In the form of what people have come to present what masculinity is, which is like the will to just be strong, like my nephew, for instance, which is your son, sometimes we climb the hill and be like, and when I have conversations with him, I tell him, but when I wear my skirts, for instance, he'll be like, no, is this not a woman's skirt? I'm like, yeah, but men can wear it, and it has always been, as a kid, looking at my mom and looking at my dad, it was always confusing, because my mom was a go-getter, fearless. And this was something that was told to us that men were, a man is this, a man is that. My mom would make the kitchen less women-led. She made it that, no, everybody should know how to cook, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it became so neutral, right? So my mom was eventually seen and called Iron Lady, right? And for me, that was always problematic because I never heard them say Iron Man for someone who just went against the status quo, right? So she was not macho. She was not like pulling rocks and stuff. So why did they call her Iron Lady? Because she would talk to men the way she wanted to talk to men. She would, move within space the way she wanted to move within space. And guess what? I would say I have my father's creativity, but the will that people might see as masculine in me is from my mother. The will to just do anything I want to do. Like literally, I sat down and I said, you know what? I live on the 26th, right? I want to do an event to talk about this. And I'm doing it. That's my mother, And I never know how to qualify masculine or feminine, because for me, it's all blur. I just see spirit, right? But then I know that I'm within this very physical form. I do not dislike it. I was trained to be masculine from my child growing up. Like, men should be like this. And then when I started questioning, I was seen as, no, you're too outside of the norm, So I would say maybe masculine is when your car breaks down on the road and you're looking for, you literally will see maybe women pass you, but you'll be looking for the 3 men who can help you push the car, right? I would say that's masculine.
So physical strength?
Yes, that's what people identify as masculine. Because me, I would ask anybody that I see to help me push the car. But I guess that would not be masculine of me. Because then the woman will look at me, the same women who look at me and tell me, no, men shouldn't wear skirts, will look at me and tell me, why would you ask me to push your car, Or when the car breaks down, you see the woman in front of the car sitting very nicely and waiting for a man who is not inside the car to come and push the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess then you're kind of already talking about this, but within yourself, what do you see as, and I guess as I've been thinking about this over the past 2 weeks or whatever, I've been realizing to what extent it's contextual and also like in relation to others. If this is a spectrum, then, I mean, even this is limited, but let's say there's a spectrum that goes like this. Someone is masculine then someone is feminine then someone. Maybe in this specific subject, someone is feminine then someone. So I guess I'm curious, when you yourself find yourself in a space with others, how do you think you present masculinity in that space, or how do you occupy that space in masculine ways in relation to other people?
That's why I cringe when people introduce me, because I don't like people to introduce me as any other thing other than my name, right? Because what that does is it links me to a place where I come from, which is the child of my mother, the child of my father. It doesn't link me into any other thing, right? So I don't try to... I wake up every day to fight patriarchy because I know that I represent that in the large society, which would also mean that I also represent what society has presented as masculinity today, right? And also I represent what society presents today as toxic masculinity. So for me, I wake up every day knowing that my body is literally fighting against that within me, because these things are not outside of me. Like I said, I was trained by the men and women in my life and the environment that I grew up within, to be masculine, to be violent, to be to go for it, to stand my ground,
So aggressive.
To be aggressive. All of those things I was trained by the people that I loved, and I started questioning it, and I still question it today. I just went to Benin, and I told my partner that I had this experience going through a very rough road, that I didn't like the experience. They literally, when you're traveling and you'll be like, I don't like this, my mind was struggling with the harshness of the travel, but my body was so relaxed because I had traveled this same road for more than 10 years. I didn't like it, but my body understood it, knew how to shift, knew what to do, right? So, toxic masculinity or masculinity, for instance, I don't even think anybody knows how they stumbled on it or how they were taught. You just grow up, and like I said, my nephew, I don't think you told him, climb the top of the hill and, no, you just pick it up. And you literally just pick it up, and you are told this is actually the right way to go by the people you trust. Like literally the people that you love and trust tell you this is the way to go.
You said right when you started talking, you said you wake up every day to fight patriarchy.
The one inside of me, and the one in my immediate environment. I don't think about the one like
systemic.
Yeah, I don't think about the one I cannot touch.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we are having all of this big conversation, people are lost in this very, larger than life change. I don't believe in that. I don't sleep and wake up that, the world will change. I'm not lost in that. I don't desire that. I just desire this immediate change. The one right now that I'm experiencing. Right. The one that I can touch. That's why for me, space and how space is accessible and safe for anybody is the most important thing for me. And the one that I am present in is the most important change I can implement.
Okay. So, but I guess what I'm curious about is this concept to fight. There's also something aggressive in that. There's something masculine in that. So
I don't think it's masculine.
I'm wondering, how do you yourself frame it for yourself? Okay, I'm fighting this thing. Like, if you were to walk into this room and we're all here, and in your mind you're like, I'm disrupting the preconceived concept of what are the actions that you take, or what are the kind of considerations?
Yeah.
like practically.
Yeah. I don't think it's masculine. I think like if I'm sleeping and I have this horrible dream and someone is literally pressing my neck, I fight to wake up off it. Right? So for me, that's how suffocating patriarchy or toxic masculinity or masculinity that has no explanation, because not all masculinity is toxic, right? Masculinity that just like, you don't really need to think like that. You really do not need to think me wearing a skirt would spoil the world that you live in, right? So I'm not going to look at that person and say that person is toxic. That person is just misinformed, right? So for me, I know that there are residues of these things that I do not like. There are residues inside of me because I come from Benin. It's a place where they celebrate the man being the head.
Yeah.
Right? They celebrate the kings and the queens and the this and the that. It's culture, it's tradition, it's rooted in war, and all of this. So when I use language, for instance, like filming, I would go more in using the words filming than shooting, right? But in terms of this, I use fight because that's it. It's a battle, right? Because as much as I love the person that I care about, I also am trying to change and be better, but I also like comfort, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you might slip into the things that you're comfortable in,
Sure.
like tone, for instance, right? I have a very hard tone, right? And when I'm speaking with the people I care about, I forget. Because where I come from, if your tone is not high, man, woman, child, whatever, nobody hears you. So that is how I survived 20-something years of my life. So now I am meeting people. I have to unlearn. Sometimes I'm talking to the person I love. I'm actually not arguing, but my tone is so passionate. Just shh, and then they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, that's toxic, right?" It's not toxic masculinity. It's just toxic because whether it be man, woman, or child, I am not allowing that person speak.
Right.
Right? I don't see it as toxic masculinity. I just see it as, why do you want to silence people? Because what people present as toxic masculinity, I've seen it present itself in non-heterosexual relationships.
Sure.
Right? I've seen it present itself in non-straight men. I've seen it present itself in queer women and queer people. So, how do you link it to just me?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that brings up, we haven't even talked about sexuality and how that's relevant to masculinity and femininity.
And just before you continue, I also know that men definitely enjoy the fruits of the labor of masculinity, toxic masculinity, and patriarchy more than any other person. I know this. So, but I'm also saying, yeah, masculinity is not just a man.
Right.
So, toxic masculinity is not just in men.
Yes, definitely. We were all taught that stuff. I guess, yeah, and I guess this brings up something else that I've been thinking about, which is how easy it is to frame this binary as in opposition. Like how easy it is to kind of be like, this is against this, or this is wrong and this is right, or this is a problem and all these men need to unlearn. It's very easy to kind of generalize and there's some antagonism and some tension kind of between these two sides. And I realized when I was starting to, I'm like, what do we want to talk about? And I was like, oh wait, hold on, I'm kind of framing this as this opposition, and that's actually not very interesting. And it's also not very productive, it's not very generative, like it's just super limiting. And I was like, actually what's more interesting is how do we look at nuance, how do we look at how broad things can be, and maybe also kind of, I don't know, how do we support each other to be healthy, whatever that may mean in this context of identity and, I guess gender, for lack of a better word. And so I guess I'm curious your thoughts on that question of that binary, that relationship between the two.
I was so eager because I didn't want to lose something, right? When I thought about this topic, I was just conscious of everything in front of me. It's just like everything that happened just showed masculinity, toxic masculinity, masculinity, toxic masculinity. The loudest one was actually presented by an older lady, right? Somebody who's older than me, and someone that is very intellectual, very knowledgeable, someone that would maybe present today would present today as someone who wants equality, who wants change, a woman. And she was talking to a young man, 17-year-old, right? And they were in conversation. And she looked at him, and I think somehow there was miscommunication, right? And the boy said something maybe foolish, right? And she said, "Oh, don't worry, men don't mature early," right? And she told him that, right? But she's also the same person that I've seen say men are this, men are that, men are that, men are that. I would not accept that she actually has cultivated the men around her to be toxic. That boy would grow saying, "Yeah, well, 17 men don't mature fast, so
right, I'm not responsible.
Why would you be you 17-year-old girl, you are more mature than me, so allow me to be foolish."
Right, it absolves him of responsibility for himself.
Yeah, I'm taking this point because we already know that men protect toxic masculinity, and patriarchy. But I'm just showing you the other side, right? Yeah. Because actually, the reason I'm having this conversation and the reason why it was presented as a very men-centered conversation is because, on the contrary, men do not have safe space to actually talk about the problem men face. Because men are busy, some men are busy protecting the toxicness of society, while some men are being silent to talk about the other things, right? The other things. Like, why would men find it comfortable to say, "Oh, I started having sex at 8. It's a very comfortable thing for men to say, "Hey, I started having, the first time I had sex," not rape. "The first time I had sex was when I was 10. The lady was..."
Right.
But women have the language to say, "I was raped." More women have the language to say, "I was raped." Few women that at least in conversation will say, "I started having sex at 10.
Right.
Right? So you just see that there's no open space, even for vulnerability. Men should be more vulnerable, men should be more vulnerable. But then, the vulnerability of men are used against men. By their partners, by their families. When it's sweet, I'm vulnerable. When it's not sweet, you say, "But you, the other day, you bent down and I was touching your bum like this in front of everybody." And the man will be like, "Next time I will not be vulnerable and show you the things I like."
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When women go through, at least a few women that I know, when they're going through hard times, they have girls, right? They say, "This are my crew. So I can cry, I can hug, I can sleep on the same bed, we can hug, we can be naked." How many men do you know can do that with their friends?
Yeah, there's like a emotional shutdown there.
Because they've been taught that. So I was talking to someone and I said, you might just see toxic masculinity the way it presents patriarchy. The extremeness of it is that in attack, women in all their identities suffer, at least with maybe data, we say women suffer more in terms of attack. And I was telling a friend, that's a physical pain, that's physical suffer, and suffer I don't know if you know Sefa, you know Sefa. And I was saying, I do not just see things from a physical point, right? I see things from emotional, mental, spiritual. If we put all the things that one can suffer from, men suffer from patriarchy and misogyny and masculinity and toxic masculinity more, because it's like the place of not knowing. You are put in this oblivion. You do not even know that you are backwards. Do you know what that is? You do not even know that you do like this thing that you are is going back.
Yeah.
So you stand in your firmness that you know, but you are going back. So the world is moving, but you are going back.
Yeah. I mean, I think something that I think about, because I would agree, like there are many, every problematic man had a mother. Maybe not every, but many, most had a mother. There's a woman involved in the raising of every person, for the most part, if we can generalize. And so those messages are coming from both parents, I guess.
And would you say that popularly, when somebody is successful or nice or good, you say, very good mother?
I mean, here, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
I'm only referencing where I come from.
Yeah.
You understand? I cannot use any other reference.
Yeah.
I don't use abroad reference. I'm referencing my very Nigerian-ness reference, and then in the 8 years of being in Ghana.
Yeah.
If a child is exceptional in conversation popularly, good mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your mother raised you well.
Yeah.
Very, very few would you say your father raised you well.
Right.
But then, who claims when the man is very useless? Nobody claims it. It's for men to claim and to go and figure out how to resolve.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me what this gets to is like, I think that people, like you're saying, people know what they know. They're used to the system they're used to, and it's maybe a little bit confusing. Like, what am I losing? Let's say we all decide to walk away from this existing system that is, you and I can agree, is imbalanced and unfair and ultimately oppresses everyone. But I think for a lot of people, it's like, I know this is familiar, I'm comfortable here, I know what I get, I know my angle, I know how I work my angle here. For instance, something that I think about in this context is chivalry. This idea of like the man opens the door for the woman. And so I think there are for many women who enjoy this, and they're like, why would I like that when the car breaks down, I can just sit in the car. I like that there are these moments where I get to kind of take advantage of my weaker sex, and so let me maintain this system. And I guess if you have a thought.
One of the things that I am is I don't have a lot of money, you understand? And I'm very comfortable in that reality. And I do not desire to have plenty money. So one of the effects of that is that when I'm on dates, trying to like somebody and stuff, I don't have money to spoil you. So I don't believe that a man should do anything. So do you want me to tell you my experience with women telling me that is dumb?
That you're not paying for
yes
things.
That why would I even think about us going out and you are not taking up the bill?
Right. I mean, this is coming back to sex. This is coming back to transactionality, double standards. Like, it's also a double bind for women, right? It's like I don't have ownership of my sexuality. I'm either pure or not.
Do you know how many times that I have told somebody, hey, I like you, but let's see how it goes. It will go as far as you want it to go, and it will be confusing. Like, so you want me to be chasing you?
Like, they have an expectation of what the dynamic.
So I have to do the chasing.
Yeah.
For as long as I've known, I don't chase. I just have conversation.
Yeah.
And if it happens, cool. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, right? So these are the ways I disrupt the system for myself. No matter the enjoyment I want to have, I would never make anything transactional.
Yeah.
Right? But I can open dating sites right now, and it's transactional. Women feel that, oh, this should be. Men feel the same way. Who taught them? I'm not just saying it's women, it's men too. Men, you see men like, how would you not pay? That's why all these people are trying to look for a world that's not real.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many taxi drivers have told me that they want to marry a white lady because she won't make them buy them fake hair. And I don't even know what to say. Like, there's no conversation to be had. Like, I can't even, it's so common and it's so problematic. And it just, I've never been inside of that dynamic, but it's just so unbelievable.
And the funny thing is, nobody literally can tell you who taught them their highest form of masculinity, toxic masculinity, or patriarchy. Nobody can point to anybody in their life. Nobody can say, at this point, I became my masculine self. Or at this point, I realized toxic masculinity or patriarchy. Right? Nobody. And science will say from 0 to 7 or 0 to 12, everything foundational that you are is formed.
Right.
So, if everything that I know is formed, you see the fight that I'm going back to the fight, it means that I am constantly fighting my childhood. Do you know how painful that is? I am constantly, to be a better self, I am constantly fighting my childhood. It means I am constantly fighting my mother, my father, my uncles, aunties, my loved ones, this Benin city that I'm so proud about. I'm constantly fighting it. I'm constantly fighting the exact existence that I am.
Yeah. Okay, I want to actually read the question that I wrote because I think it's relevant to what you're saying, this duality. What I have written is chivalry honoring and protecting, or is it demeaning and deeply violent? Is it possible that it is both?
I think I'll answer now with, not with my curious self, with the reality I move with. I think to each is his own. If as a person you like chivalry, find the people that like chivalry like you and enjoy it. Don't go and force chivalry on the people who do not like chivalry. You understand? If you like popo, go and, there are so many people who like popo. You understand? I like mango. Right?
That thing you can enjoy it by yourself.
Yes, that's what I like mango.
Yeah.
And then when I'm eating mango, I don't want to sit with people who be looking at me and frowning like, oh, why would you be eating mango? No, I want to eat with people who be happy the way I'm eating mango. Like, oh, do you also want to eat mango? Take mango, then let's eat it together. You understand? But I also know that the best table, the table that I desire, is a table where I can be eating my mango, she can be eating a pawpaw, they can be eating their pineapple, you know, they can be drinking their water, and we can all be smiling at the enjoyment that we are all individually having. Because I believe that true community is not when people connect ideally. It's not where everybody has the same ideology. We all can have different ideology, but then we have respect. We have decorum. We respect space. This is what in a spiritual journey, you say psychic space. You'd be like, no, I don't want you intruding into my psychic space. There's a reason why my house is the way it is, and I don't want everybody to visit it, because the wrong person might disrupt the energy that I'm cultivating.
Right.
It's the same thing. If I meet the wrong person, it can activate the toxicness in the human that I am, because everything is within me, right? To be toxic and to be non-toxic, it's within me, right? So it gets stronger the more I feed whichever. The wrong person might remind me of how sweet it was to be toxic at 14. How, you know?
Right.
And nobody judged me or held me responsible. And the 30-something-year-old me might just be like, I can just activate this toxicness here right now. Nobody's looking at me. And that's why I feel society, people perform too much. I like to see people I would like to know about people when no one is watching.
Right.
So chivalry, I don't care for it personally. I would never be chivalrous. But I can help a man open the door, I can help a woman open the door, I can help a child open the door, you know? I don't care for age. I feel like a 15-year-old can give me the information a 70-something-year-old might not be able to give me, you know? I see people as spirit. More and more, I see people as spirit more than they're just what they represent physically.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also like enjoyment.
That's good.
So, you know, enjoyment comes with different things.
Yeah, variety.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I don't care to do chivalry, but if I'm looking at this woman that I like,
yeah,
and she says, listen, we are going to that place, and I want you to come with me, open the door, I'll open it.
Okay. I mean, I guess...
Yeah. I will not now say because, I'm so against chivalry, I will not open this door. What I like right now is this person and where we are going to.
Right, you're responding to
and it's not deep. But if it's oppressive, then no.
Right.
But it's enjoyment we are going to enjoy. Why not?
Right. Yeah, I guess there's intention and there's impact.
Yeah, and also just being conscious. Because that decision, if she says, slap that person, that would be a different thing. I'll be like, take your enjoyment, please, and go.
That's a different enjoyment.
Yeah, I don't want.
Okay.
Because I don't like violence.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because also violence is inside of me, and I have seen it, and I don't want it to appear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you talked about someone activating that, that side of you, it makes me think about fear. And something that I've been thinking about a lot lately and talking with people about is, we're having this debate in Ghana right now around this LGBT rights bill. Where I come from in the US, the issue of trans kids is a huge issue right now. And around both of these subjects, there's just all this fear. There's all this like really, really intense fear. And I guess it's fear of the unknown or the unfamiliar or kind of the other. And I've been trying to, it's hard for me to understand it. It's hard because as you're saying, like ideally at this table, everyone is enjoying what he's enjoying and knows that it's not affecting the other. I'm for mango, cool. You over there, you're for pineapple, excellent. Like your own doesn't take away from my own. And the thing that I keep thinking about is like, how do you make that switch in your mind from this thing is threatening me? There might be someone who I'm gonna call a man in the women's bathroom and somehow it threatens me, even though half the places I go to, the bathroom is just one bathroom and we're not too worried about who enters. Versus this kind of like, oh shit, wait, the more the better. The more it's expansive. All these things can be expansive. It's your own is not threatening my own. It's not, like they say, it's not a pie. Like
society, for what I don't understand, celebrates secrecy. Right?
How do you mean?
Society doesn't like to open up everything for people to know everything. There is a term, they say the wind would blow the foul yansh, meaning everything will be made public. And then families keep secrets. Partners keep secrets.
Yeah.
Parents keep secrets. Companies keep secrets. Secret. Just like if they know, maybe they would not. And for me, I don't believe in secrets.
At all.
I don't believe in it. That doesn't mean I don't participate in it consciously or unconsciously. But I don't believe in it.
Like you don't believe it is valuable.
That's why I'm comfortable to be here and having this particular conversation, because I'm really ready to go anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
I don't believe in secrets. I believe I can respect people's information.
Right, their secrets.
I don't see that secret. I respect you. The fact that you're telling me this doesn't mean it's for me to share. That's not secret.
What's the difference?
Secret is knowing that there's this information I should give you, but I'm consciously omitting it.
Okay.
But I know that, at least for what I understand, I know that if I give you this information, you could make a better decision on where we go from here.
So you're manipulating by withholding.
Yes.
That's secret.
Withholding information.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not the same thing as not sharing. Because I can tell him something. I'm telling him. I'm not telling him to go and tell her.
Right.
Right? That's what is that. But I'm like, if I find you, if I bring you into my private space, what I share with you is not for the public. That's why it's called my private space. But I'm talking about secrets. Secrets that when you hear some family stories, you'll be like, what? Right? So I was
like something someone is ashamed of.
Yes, I was a part of part of the small group that started the family WhatsApp group in my family, and it was fantastic. And then it was very weird. And then I had to be defending too many people.
How do you mean?
Like, when you don't believe in patriarchy, you're fighting all the time. So you see somebody who shares a link. This is a normal conversation everybody's having. Women nowadays are, just divorcing because they feel they want independence. It's foolish. And everybody say yes. When back in the days, and I've been like, this is very backward. And then the family group evolved into so many conversations, and one of it was anti-LGBTQ, right? And I was there. And when I find myself in this type of group, what I do is I don't talk. I just share information about that conversation so that you know my religion, if there is one, right?
How do you mean?
I share information about queer people.
Okay.
Right? Positive ones.
Yeah.
Inside the group.
Okay.
And they ask me, why would you share this? Why would you share your Christian? It's not the same. You are sharing your Christian, you are sharing your religion, you are sharing your politics. This is my religion and politics. But at some point, I just left the group. Right? Because it was not doing anything for me. And sometimes you need to know your battle. I fight a physical battle in my family. The representation of me is already a battle in my family. But I went to Benin recently and talking to my dad, and I have my cousin. And he said some homophobic things.
The cousin?
Yeah. I looked at him there. One spirit said, just blast him. Another spirit said, he doesn't even know anything. Anything I tell him, he doesn't even know. I know that person because he is me also. I could have been this version where I grew up, exactly, so comfortable in this reality. And then it made me remember that I always say to friends, when people talk about, being pro whatever, they never talk about the transition.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, how do you get your brain to move from this fear?
Yeah, so let's use this. I remember in Lagos when I was in a club, in a bathroom, and some man was eyeing me. And then he went beyond eyeing me and he was trying to touch me. Right?
Uh-huh.
And then I was angry.
How did you feel?
I'm telling you now, I was angry.
Yeah.
And I did not go physical though, but I was angry and then we left.
Who left?
Me and my friends.
Okay.
And then,
because of this?
Yes. And then I sat down because I think. I don't wait for anybody to help me think. I think. I was like, why did I feel that way? Because before that, I never thought I was anti-gay, anti-queer, anti-anything. I just enjoying my life. And I was like, why did I feel that way? If a woman came to me, because I like women, right? If a woman came to me and touched me and whatever, did the same thing that man did, and I did not feel sexually attracted to that woman, would I be angry? Will I leave? No. I will find a very comfortable way to tell her, oh, sorry, I'm not interested.
Right.
Right? That was a change for me.
So your own reaction prompted you to...
Yeah, I was just like, this is rooted in something that I don't know where it's rooted from. I don't want to trace it, but I do know moving from here, I am not going to feel this way because somebody is attracted to me.
So in that moment, you surprised yourself.
Big time.
Your response to
That's the toxic masculinity, patriarchy, misogyny, and everything that is deep-rooted in us that we don't even know exists inside of us.
But to even have surprised yourself, that means that part of you already thought of you as beyond that.
Oh, I was already in my mind progressive.
Right.
But what is that?
And how did you get there?
Just being curious. I've never been okay with what is. So even now, as I'm sitting here right now, some of the people that I know who present to be the most progressive people, I don't consider them progressive. Because for me, it's a painful journey privately. It's not something that is. It's taken me a long time to be having this thing here.
Yeah.
Because I know the battle I'm fighting at home. I know nobody can call me and be telling me anything. Somebody can call me and tell me. I'm also okay with the fact that somebody can call me and say, Omonblank, you were toxic. And I'll be like, oh, when? And they'll be like, oh, yesterday. Say exactly when. What did I do? You did this. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's true. I'm not ready to
change.
No, not with change, to acknowledge.
Okay.
That I am still carrying all of these realities
around. Yeah.
And I feel like because people perform a lot, when you start performing to be an activist, to be different from your status quo, to be whatever, you start lying and saying, "Oh, you know, I'm on the other side." But I don't think I think we are constantly going like this. And the people who present to be progressive only present the nice stories.
Yeah. It sounds like what you're saying is the personal is political. Like
Very.
The way I treat my cat, the way I treat my roommates, the way I treat a taxi driver is my belief system.
There's this thing I tell my partner, you know, we laugh. I say, listen, all these people will be talking about nature, God, you know, environment, and all of these nice things. Then you go to their house, and then their plant is like this. You know? And you see that the plant is not just lacking water, it's lacking love, you know? And you'll be like, these people lie. I know them. It's not a joke, I know them. You understand?
Maybe they're busy.
Then you see the person who is talking about your hair, you know, carry your hair and this and that. And when they see me, sometimes when I've not washed my hair or anything, they'll be like, oh, you have to use this product, you have to use that stuff. Then, when they're not using any product, all their hair is like rubbish. Whereas I'm not using any product. Even if I use product or don't use product, my hair is like this because I'm taking care of my hair without or with product. Right? Because I love my hair. It's not just the cream I put. It's the love. You understand? It's the consciousness. It's the energy. It's vibration. Right? So it's not just to have this is the problem with academics and practitioners. It's not just to know the theory.
Right. To live
how you applying it.
Yeah.
That's why, as a younger person, I wanted a lot of children.
Why?
I just liked the idea of it. Patriarchy, misogyny, toxicness. Now, I see people with plenty of children, I'll be like, why? Oh.